Good afternoon. Respected Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Sir, Professor Devinder Singh, Sir, Worthy Registrar, Professor Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, Sir, Professor Charles Hankla, Sir, Mr. Sanjay Singh, Sir, Dr. Balwinder Kaur, distinguished guests from Georgia State University, learned faculty members, esteemed delegates, scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you. It is my privilege to host all of you for this inaugural ceremony of the International Conference on Public Policy and Public Law 2026. The first edition that we are hosting today has been jointly organized by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, Sonipat, and the Public Finance Research Cluster, Andrew Young School of Policy Studies, Georgia State University, Atlanta, USA. We are gathered here today for this inaugural session at the Moot Court Hall of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, Sonipat. With this, may I now request our Vice Chancellor, Sir, to present the token of welcome address to our for the day. Sir, please. Stage. Please come to the stage. Now I request our Vice Chancellor, Sir, esteemed Registrar, Sir, Balwinder Ma'am, please felicitate our guest of honor for the day, Mr. Sanjay Singh, Sir. Okay, so may I now request our respected dignitaries to please come forward and light the lamp, which marks the beginning of any auspicious event in India. Please, sir, please.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा शुक्लां ब्रह्मविचारसारपरमाम् आद्यां जगद्व्यापिनीं वीणापुस्तकधारिणीम् अभयदाम् जाड्यान्धकारापहा.
Thank you so much, dignitaries. Now, since we have set the tone of the event, now I would like to welcome Dr. Balwinder Kaur, ma'am, Associate Professor, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, Sonipat, to please come forward and perform the opening remarks of this day.
Thank you, Rob. Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. Devinder, respected Registrar and Dean, Professor Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, Dr. Thomas Joseph Vicino, Dean Andrew Young School of Policy Studies, Georgia State University, Mr. Paul Benson, Senior Director, Public Finance Research Cluster, Andrew Young School of Policy Studies, Georgia State, esteemed keynote speaker, Dr. Charles Hankla, Honorable Member of the Advisory Board, distinguished delegates from India and abroad, Dr. Utsav Singh, UNICEF Chief Maharashtra, Dr. Sanjay Singh, respected members of the faculty, researchers, scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm good morning to one and all. It is indeed a matter of immense pride and privilege to welcome each of you to the first joint international conference on public policy and public law on the theme Asymmetries in Public Policy, Institutional Design, and the Impact of Localism. This prestigious conference is jointly organized by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, Haryana, India, and the Public Finance Research Cluster, Andrew Young School of Policy Studies, Georgia State University, Atlanta, USA. At the outset, I deem it my pleasant duty to extend a heartfelt welcome to our distinguished guests who have graciously accepted our invitation to be a part of this significant academic gathering. Your presence has greatly enriched this occasion and reflects the spirit of international academic cooperation that this conference seeks to foster. This conference also marks another significant milestone in the academic journey of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University under the dynamic and visionary leadership of our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. Devinder Singh. The university has steadily emerged as a vibrant center for excellence in legal education and research. Sir, unwavering commitment to strengthening scholarship in public law, constitutional governance, and interdisciplinary policy research has encouraged meaningful academic initiative that connect legal scholarship with contemporary governance challenges. This conference is a reflection of that vision and the university's resolve to create a platform for informed dialogue on the basis of national and global importance. The theme of this conference is both contemporary and compelling. In an era where governance is increasingly shaped by decentralization, institutional diversity, and evolving constitutional framework, the study of asymmetries in public policy assume immense significance. The conference provides a unique platform for scholars, policymakers, jurists, economists, and practitioners to deliberate upon the institutional and legal dimension of governance and to explore solutions that are both context sensitive and globally relevant. Over the next 2 days, the conference will witness stimulating discussion on a broad range of themes, including fiscal federalism, administrative asymmetries, intergovernmental finance, environment governance, inclusive development, artificial intelligence, and labor regulations, legal pluralism, constitutional design, democratic governance, and public finance. These deliberations will undoubtedly enrich academic discourse and contribute to the development of more responsive and inclusive public institutions. We are deeply honored to welcome our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Charles Hankla, Professor of Political Science and Associate Director of the Public Finance Research Cluster at the Andrew Young School of Policy Studies, Georgia State University. Sir's distinguished scholarship in comparative political economy, fiscal governance, and institutional development has earned him international recognition, and we eagerly look forward to benefiting from his valuable insights. I also take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, for his constant encouragement and steadfast support in promoting academic excellence and fostering international collaboration. My heartfelt appreciation to equally due to our respected registrar and dean, the conveners, faculty members, our colleagues from Georgia State University, the organizing committee, volunteers, and every individual whose dedication and meticulous efforts have transformed this vision into reality. As we formally inaugurate this conference, let us reaffirm our shared commitment to rigorous scholarship, meaningful dialogue, and collaborative research. May the deliberation over the next 2 days generate fresh perspectives, strengthen academic partnerships, and contribute to the advancement of public law and policy, both within India and beyond. With these words, I once again extend a warm and cordial welcome to all our esteemed guests and participants. I wish this conference every success and hope that your time at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University will be academically enriching, professionally rewarding, and personally memorable. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your opening remarks. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, our worthy registrar, sir, of Dr. B.R. National University, Sonipat, please deliver the welcome address. I request our Vice-Chancellor, sir.
Very respected Professor Charles Hankla and other guests from the Georgia State University. We are really lucky to see this day in front all of you in this orientation week Diksha Arambh. We have reached this moment not immediately, but we have come here by, you say, brick by brick. Dr. Utsav, who is sitting amongst us, he came to known to us, to me and Registrar sir, through my very laborious student, who was a student in Delhi. And he was studying there. We requested that we are really interested in Georgia University. We extended our invitation to Professor Charles Hankla to address our students and faculty in the online mode. He agreed, did this, and the journey started. Then we found, because that is a public school of Georgia University, which is being led by Paul Benson and Charles Hankla sir. So we are also a national law university and working on the public policy in India. So immediately we came to know that our functioning, our vision is almost common, because public policy is a domain which see the attention of everyone in the society. Because once the policy is being rolled out, it is rolled out for everyone. The last person sitting in the queue, it is for everyone. And for that matter, we started building up certain agreements, certain memorandums, which are in process. I'm telling to the students that the long journey starts like this only. As you joined law and you ask your parents, they have also started journey, and after 30 years, they say that they are successful because their children also landed in some good school. So this is why I'm telling that we started, I think, 10 months back, and after 10 months, what we have done, that a professor of Georgia University is sitting with us and not only addressing you today on a subject which is just introduced by the madam, but also making the future of our public policy, that what we can learn from each other and what we can contribute. In India, there is a huge scope for learning. I travel the best also. Everybody is interested that how India is managing this population, because this is exposed during this COVID period, that how India is managing its population. Because half of the population is being fed by the government, of which the Prime Minister of India takes credit every day that we are feeding 80 crore people from government coffers only. That is truth. If government doesn't support those 80 crore people, I am very sure that the public policy will collapse along with those people. They people are here in India because government is supporting, and they know that government is behind them. Apart from this is an economic issue. Apart from this, we have a public policy issues. Nowadays, we are discussing a new word. This is a global word, constitutional morality. Constitutional morality means what Constitution says. Whatever Constitution says is writing on the wall. Constitution says everybody is equal in the society. But we know that we belong to the families, we belong to the society, we belong to the communities. And what community is practicing? That is known as a social morality. Can we leave social morality? That is a big question for us. Can we leave this? Yes, in front of constitutional morality, we should leave this social morality. But once social morality is being left, what the society would be? Logically, it is very correct to say that the constitutional morality shall prevail. But at the same time, when we say social morality, the university is established in the name of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, a global legal scholar, and Mahatma Gandhi, not only the national father, Rashtrapita, but at the same time, he is a global figure for peace. When India was getting freedom, then there was a debate among these two iconic legal personalities, social reformers. What was the debate? Mahatma Gandhi wanted that power should be given to the panchayats, because panchayat is the source of development in India. Unless and until we empower the panchayat, because panchayat is based upon inclusiveness. On the other hand, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was arch rival, not otherwise, but on this issue, that these panchayats are the breeding grounds for the casteism, which is a prejudice in the society. It divides the society. They had a debate, and all of us knows the Panchayati Raj chapter was in the morality chapter only. Corrective principles of the state policy not enforceable through the courts of law, though government can work on that. But after 40 years, in the year 1993, we adopted the Panchayati Raj system, the localism in the citizenry, the immigration, the migrants, and the whole nation thing. We adopted the Panchayati Raj system. And that Panchayati Raj system was based upon rule of law and the reason, the logic, which has to be there. If we have a panchayat, then everybody in the panchayat, every single individual and community will get their representation. There will be sarpanch of the majority community, turn by turn. Whatever community is there, if there is a majority, they will get a women sarpanch. They will get a sarpanch of weaker section of the society, and that is on the rotational basis. We have punches then. Every community have their own punch. Now, this is the policy in India, which has taken into consideration the social factor as well as the constitutional factor, that everybody is equal. And therefore, the panchayats have crossed 30 years of functioning, and that is successful. Whenever we say the administration in India, this is successful experiment which is being done, and successfully the Panchayati Raj system is working. That is the public policy in India. No doubt, there are other type of communities, the social groups, the civil society groups. They are there, but they are working only for lobbying to convince the panchayat that do this, do that, and don't do that. These are the social groups. which are working in that capacity. If the world wants to know about the Indian things, this is a wonderful thing because it is recognizable in the governance system as well. United Nations Development Program has chalked out few good governance principles of inclusiveness, of responsiveness, accountability, transparency, and many things which you all study and Google it, you will find that these are the good governance principles. But seeing India's position, India needs another thing which is not mentioned everywhere but we practice successfully. We are busy in feeding our 80% of population and not able to export that idea, but that is a strategic governance. Strategic governance means that who shall be the president of India? It is to be decided after many deliberation whether it belongs to caste X, caste Y, or caste Z, or gender. That is to be taken into consideration. Who would be the chief minister? Who would be the cabinet minister? Who would be the chairman of particular commission? What type of commission we have? This is known as strategic governance, meaning thereby that everybody is to be kept on board for governance because we have an inclusive constitution. Sense of belonging to the constitution has to be with every citizen of this country. So this is known as strategic governance. Maybe logically wrong, economically incorrect, but this is known as strategic governance. And the whole world can learn this kind of governance in the Indian context, that how many diversities we are managing. We have 100 disputes. We have 1,000 prejudices in the society, 1,000 prejudices in the family system. But when it comes to the nation, everybody says, I love Bharat. I love this nation because I have contributed towards its freedom and I am still contributing and I want to see this nation as one. This is the feeling in the Northeast. This is the feeling in the Middle India, South. Everywhere you go, everybody has this feeling. This is something which is unique in this context. Two centers has come together. One from the Georgia University, which is a public policy center, and the National Law University, Sonipat. We can't declare anything today that what we are going to do in future, but definitely if Professor Charles has come here, has honored us, meeting other students, our faculty, definitely we will be building up. The Andrew Young School Public Policy of Georgia University would be entrusted to many more things in Indian context in our public policy, and definitely we'll also learn from them. It's a mutual thing. In the next 5 years, we will see that this is our vision and this is my wish also. In 5 years, our students start visiting Georgia University and their students start visiting this place. We have to work, my dear friends, with the larger goals. If this thing starts, then it means we are achieving the global village concept. Problems are same here, problems are same there. So therefore, you have joined a law school of your choice, you have joined a course of your choice, which makes the public policy. In the Indian context, you will learn in the law slowly and slowly. In the Indian context, public policy means law only. Unless and Professor Charles, unless and until we make some deterrent effect with the policy is not implemented. Because here sermons doesn't work, here advices doesn't work, because we have to manage the people. So everywhere, whenever we have a public policy, then law comes. Law in the Austinian context. Teacher will understand and student will understand in a few months. Austinian concept means little bit of deterrence, little bit of punishment. It is regulated. As I gave the statement in the morning and through my video address also, that this campus belongs to student. But this campus belongs to student, but you need to go to your room also at a time. 10 o'clock you have to go back there. You can't say that Vice-Chancellor said campus belongs to me, that I have to be in the campus at 2 a.m. also. No. Campus belongs to you, but room belongs to you after 10 o'clock. So it is regulated. Everybody is regulated, not the student. Every community, every citizen in this country is. So this is the effect. How much localism is being there? How global idea is being there? How constitutional idea is there? This is theme of this conference, and we would be enlightened by the structure lecture prepared by Professor Charles, and the participants coming from other universities, the online participants who are here, I have a message to everyone that you would be learning new aspects here, new interpretations here, and if you have any, please give. We have planned our sessions like this, that in our sessions not only the chairperson is there to regulate it, but there has to be reporter, there has to be moderator, and there has to be discussion. There must be discussion. What type of argument is being put up for the public policy that need to be discussed there. We will come out with the publication, but the most fruitful part is the sessions itself, where papers shall be presented very meaningfully, and very meaningful discussion is expected from there. With these few words, I congratulate all of you, and congratulate my registrar for making these things happen. All sitting on the dais, off the dais, I know everybody is working, so everybody is named. The dean thing that everybody is being named, all are working, but our future goal is larger one, and we have to achieve those goals with the Georgia University and elsewhere also. We have a lot of work to do with this. You will adopt my agenda, you will adopt my vision. With these words, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring words and your valuable guidance. Now, before we move to our keynote speaker, sir, we have special messages from Georgia State University. Though our distinguished special address have been pre-recorded by our guest from Georgia State University, particularly because of the time difference between India and US. So now let us go through those distinguished special addresses. First, we would be having the address from Dr. Thomas Joseph Vicino, the Dean at Andrew Young School of Policy Studies at Georgia State University. So may we have his distinguished address, please?
Good morning. Greetings from Atlanta, Georgia, a dynamic global city and the proud home of Georgia State University, one of the nation's leading public research universities in the United States. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the first International Conference on Public Policy and Public Law. India's rich constitutional tradition and its experience as one of the world's largest and most vibrant democracies make it an especially fitting setting for discussions on public policy, governance, and institutional design. Although I regret I cannot be with you in person, I am honored to join you through this recorded message. I would like to begin by congratulating Vice-Chancellor Professor Devinder Singh, the leadership of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, the organizing committee, and all of the faculty, researchers, students, policymakers, and practitioners who have come together to make this conference possible. I'm also grateful for our colleagues in the Andrew Young School for participating, including Professor Charles Hankla, Senior Director Paul Benson, Dr. Andrei Timofeev, Dr. Shijits Shrestha, and Dr. Federico Corredor Carraval. Your commitment to advancing scholarship and public service through international collaboration is truly inspiring. This conference represents an important milestone, not only because of its timely focus, but because it launches what we believe will become a lasting partnership between our two institutions. I have the privilege of serving as the Dean of the Andrew Young School of Policy Studies at Georgia State University. The Andrew Young School is consistently recognized as one of the top schools of public affairs in our country. Our nationally ranked academic programs span many fields, including economics, public policy, public management, criminal justice and criminology, social work, urban studies, and beyond. Together, these disciplines prepare students to become leaders who improve the lives of many through evidence-based policy, effective governance, and public service. Beyond the classroom, our faculty conduct internationally recognized research that addresses some of society's most pressing challenges. Our research centers work closely with governments, nonprofit organizations, international institutions, and communities to improve public finance, strengthen health systems, foster inclusive economic development, advance urban resilience, and improve public management. We believe that excellent scholarship should not only simply explain the world, it should help improve it. And one of those centers doing that work is the Public Finance Research Cluster, which is proud to co-organize this conference with our colleagues at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University. The Public Finance Research Cluster serves as an international hub for research, policy analysis, and technical assistance on issues of public finance, fiscal government, decentralization, local government capacity, and economic development. Its work bridges rigorous academic research with practical policy solutions, supporting governments and institutions around the world as they seek to strengthen their fiscal systems, improve governance, and ultimately promote sustainable development. The cluster brings together economists, political scientists, public administration scholars, and legal experts because the most difficult public policy challenges cannot simply be solved with one disciplinary perspective. This conference reflects that same philosophy, bringing together diverse expertise to address complex questions of governance and institutional design. Our school bears the name of one of the world's great public servants, Ambassador Andrew Young. Ambassador Young's remarkable career spans 70 years of service as a trusted lieutenant to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the American Civil Rights Movement. He helped secure landmark advances in justice and equality. He later served in the United States Congress, as a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and later as mayor of the city of Atlanta, where he helped transform Atlanta into one of the world's leading international cities. Throughout his career, he has been a champion for human rights, diplomacy, economic opportunity, and global engagement. His life's work reminds us that public policy is ultimately about people. It is about creating opportunity where it does not yet exist. It is about building institutions that earn public trust. It is about recognizing the durable progress that comes from dialogue, collaboration, and principled leadership. These ideals continue to guide our school today, and I believe that they also animate this conference. The theme of your conference, Asymmetries in Public Policy, Institutional Design, and the Impact of Localism, could not be more relevant. Across every region of the world, governments face increasingly complex challenges. They include rapid urbanization, demographic change, technological disruption, climate resilience, fiscal sustainability, public health, and the growing expectations for responsive governance. These challenges rarely fit neatly within our disciplinary or political boundaries. I believe that they require thoughtful institutional design, effective legal frameworks, sound fiscal management, and evidence-based policymaking. They require humility, the recognition that every country has something to teach and something to learn. That is why partnerships like the one between Georgia State University and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University matter so much. This collaboration reflects more than the organization of a single conference. It represents a shared commitment to academic excellence, public service, interdisciplinary scholarship, and international engagement. It demonstrates that universities have a responsibility not only to educate students, but to also convene ideas, foster dialogue, and generate knowledge that helps societies address complex public problems. I am also encouraged that the ideas discussed here today will emerge from this conference as an expected volume that collaborates our scholars, provides a lasting contribution that extends the impact of our discussions beyond the conference itself. For Georgia State University, this partnership advances our strategic commitment to expanding meaningful global collaborations. Working with distinguished institutions in India enables our faculty and students to engage in new perspectives, conduct comparative research, and better understand how governance challenges are addressed in different political, legal, and cultural contexts. It strengthens our research enterprise while preparing graduates to lead in an increasingly interconnected world. For Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, this collaboration and the conference creates opportunities to expand our networks, deepen our disciplinary engagement, and ultimately connect scholars across these many fields. Together, we can accomplish more than either institution could achieve independently. We are stronger together. Most importantly, this partnership reflects our shared belief that today's public policy challenges are truly global in nature. Whether we are discussing fiscal decentralization, federalism, local governance, sustainability, public health, or economic opportunity, these issues increasingly transcend national borders. Solutions emerge when practitioners, policymakers, and scholars collaborate across our institutions and disciplines and nations. And so this is why comparative perspectives matter so much. No two nations share identical histories or institutions. Yet, every society wrestles with common questions, such as, how do governments distribute authority? How can institutions remain accountable while effective? How can fiscal systems promote both equity and growth? And finally, how can legal systems adapt to changing social realities while preserving democratic values? Comparative research allows us to move beyond theory alone. It enables us to learn from one another's successes, to understand one another's challenges, and adapt promising innovations to new contexts. Conferences serve in this way as laboratories for new ideas and catalysts for future collaboration. And this is why universities play an essential role. Our institutions of higher education are not simply places where knowledge is preserved. They are places where knowledge is created, challenged, tested, and applied. They educate future leaders, inform public debate, advise governments, strengthen communities, and help solve problems that no single institution alone can solve. When universities work together internationally, they expand not only research, but a mutual understanding. Indeed, a resource that is increasingly valuable in today's interconnected world. Looking ahead, I hope this conference will be remembered as the foundation of a long and productive relationship between our two universities. I look forward to expanding opportunities for joint research, collaborative publications, faculty exchanges, executive education, student engagement, and future conferences that deepen this partnership. Together, we can build an enduring platform for scholarship that advances public policy and public law while strengthening institutions in both of our countries and beyond. Before I conclude, I would like to speak directly to the many different members of your audience. So, to the faculty members, thank you for your commitment to discovery, teaching, and mentorship. Your scholarship shapes public institutions and influences generations of future leaders. To our researchers and doctoral students, continue asking ambitious questions. The most important advances often begin by challenging conventional assumptions and examining familiar problems from new perspectives. To the students, remember that your education is about much more than earning a degree. You are preparing for future lives of service and leadership. The relationships that you build here today at this conference, the ideas that you encounter, the questions that you pursue may influence your careers for decades to come. Stay intellectually rigorous, remain open to learning from others, and never underestimate your ability to make a meaningful difference. And to the government officials, policymakers, judges, and practitioners joining this conference today, thank you for being part of the practical experiences in these discussions. Strong public policy emerges when rigorous research and real-world practice inform one another. Your participation ensures that these conversations remain grounded in the challenges facing citizens and community every day. And finally, to all of you gathered in Sonopot today and from joining around the world, thank you for investing your time, your expertise, and your energy in this important endeavor. Every enduring international partnership begins with a simple conversation like today's. Every significant collaboration begins with building trust. I am confident that this conference will foster both. And so, on behalf of Georgia State University, the Andrew Young School of Policy Studies, and the Public Finance Research Cluster, thank you for your partnership and your friendship. We are honored to stand alongside Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University as an academic partner, and we look forward to building a future shared scholarship, innovative ethos, and commitment to public service. I wish you an engaging conference, stimulating conversations, new collaboration, and all the success. Thank you, best wishes, and have a great, wonderful conference. Thank you.
We are immensely grateful to the message of Dean Vicino. Definitely looking forward to build upon it. Now is the time to invite our keynote speaker for the day. Our keynote speaker, Professor Charles Hankla, he hails from Georgia State University, Atlanta. He's in fact, a distinguished scholar of political science and served as the director of the International Center for Public Policy and associate director of the Public Finance Research Cluster at Georgia State University. His research spans comparative and international political economy with particular expertise in fiscal decentralization, public finance, trade policy, industrial policy, and governance. Professor Hankla has led and advised major international projects supported by organizations such as World Bank, United Nations, UNDP, USAID, and the G20, contributing to public finance reforms across several countries. His scholarship has appeared in leading journals, including the American Political Science Review, American Journal of Political Science, International Studies Quarterly, and the Comparative Political Studies. He is also the author of the acclaimed book In Pursuit of Prosperity, Industrial Policy and the Politics of Economic Upgrading, and has received recognition for his outstanding contributions to research and graduate mentorship. We are privileged to have you, sir. The stage is all yours.
That I can remove it. Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, so Idnia Char Swaggart Kalia Danyavad, Isururi Conference Me, keynote address Dana Marilia Simon Kibate. Don't worry, I won't deliver the entire thing in Hindi. That would be unfortunate for everyone. But I am working on it. So thank you all so much for being here and for listening to all of the talks and participating in the conference. It's really an honor to be here. I really want to thank Dr. Devinder Singh, the Honorable Vice-Chancellor, who has led this collaboration along with Dean Vicino, who we just heard from. I want to thank also Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, the Honorable Registrar, who has also played an absolutely key role in organizing this. Dr. Balwinder Kaur, thank you so much for your organizational skills and for introducing the conference. Dr. Singh, who's played a key role, I know, in putting all of this together. It's wonderful to finally meet everyone here who we have talked to over the internet for some time now. I also want to thank honored guest Sanjay Singh from UNICEF, and looking forward to hearing more from him about his important work in Maharashtra, I believe it is, during the conference. And thanks also to Dr. Utsav Kumar Singh, sitting in the front row, who helped bring us all together and who is a research affiliate at Georgia State. I want to say it's really an honor to find myself on the same stage and in the same room with so many of India's judicial and policy luminaries. And it's an honor to share the room with the excellent faculty. And honestly, a little intimidating to share the room with all of you students, because I heard before the conference that something like 1.5 lakh students take the entrance exam and only about 3,000 pass. So my quick mental calculation is a 2% admission rate. Tell me if I got the math wrong, but that's quite impressive. So I know all of you are extremely sharp, and looking forward to meeting you during the course of the conference. I'll say my youngest daughter, whose name is Elizabeth, is at the same stage of life as you. She is, my wife and I are driving her up to College of William and Mary, which is located in Northern Virginia near Washington, D.C., where she will study environmental science. And so, you know, we're thinking about that stage of life, and it's nice to see all of you here, and glad to be here with you. The dean talked a little bit about Georgia State. I just wanted to say a couple of additional words, and then I'll talk a little bit more substantively about the conference theme. So I'm Charles Hankla, and thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Dr. Seathart. So I'm both a professor at Georgia State with a focus in political economy, and I also lead our International Center for Public Policy, which is part of the Public Finance Research Cluster that the dean mentioned. Our hope, and I think the dean articulated it really well, our hope during this conference is to kind of begin the process of solidifying a long-term relationship with Dr. Ambedkar National Law University. And this will, I hope, include more conferences of this sort in the future, but also exchanges of students and faculty, engagement in civil service training, perhaps, in various topics of mutual interest, possibly working together on projects, both research projects and maybe more policy-oriented projects, and cooperating in research and the like. So we look forward to a really long cooperation with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar NLU University. So Georgia State, as the dean mentioned, we are a very large university, although I think we're among the top 5, or at least the top 10 biggest in the U.S. We have about 50,000 students. Now, coming from Delhi or its environments, you may not find that so large, because I think DU has more than twice as many as that. But for the U.S., this is a pretty big institution. We cover all fields. I'm coming from the public policy school, and so my work is in that area, particularly in public finance. I will mention we have an excellent law school, which is a separate part of the university. We have a series of different schools or colleges that are within the university. One of them is an excellent law school, and so I'm hoping that over time we can draw them into the cooperation a little bit, so you can have the actual lawyers. I'm not a lawyer, you know, full disclosure. We can have the actual lawyers coordinating. But I think that we also have a lot in common because, as Dr. Singh said, law is policy and policy is law. There's a deep and close interaction there. And so I think that that's an important thing to remember. To give you kind of a specific example of how that can kind of come about, we have two projects right now going on in our cluster and in the International Center of Public Policy that we're leading with the World Bank. One of them in Cameroon and one in Mozambique. And as part of the Mozambique project, one of the things that we were asked to do, so we were designing fiscal decentralization in the country and advising the Ministry of Finance on reforming the public finance system in the country, thinking about what should the responsibilities of each tier be, what should the revenue sources be, how should the transfer system work, what should all of that. You all may be familiar with the Finance Commission in India that oversees the transfers. So we looked to that example and other examples around the world and made recommendations about how to set up something similar in Mozambique. But anyway, one of the key parts of the project, which intimidated all of us on the team, was that we were supposed to advise how all of this would be incorporated into the Mozambican legal system. And we all essentially thought, we're not lawyers, we don't know how to do that. And so we kind of muddled our way through. But for me, it's an example of how critical the legal side is, because it pops up a lot in these public finance projects, because countries are thinking about what is appropriate to put in the Constitution, what is appropriate. You know, Mozambique is a civil law country, so it's a bit different from both India and the US. So what to put in the organic laws, what to put in the national decrees. So all of this is kind of part of that linkage. Another kind of connection that I think we have, the dean mentioned that Andrew Young, that our school is named after Andrew Young. You all are familiar with Martin Luther King Jr.? Is he kind of a known figure? So Dr. King is probably Atlanta's most famous citizen, and Andrew Young was his kind of right-hand man. So if you Google a picture of Martin Luther King, you'll probably see Andrew Young standing next to him. And so that image, that kind of history of the civil rights movement, which was centered in Atlanta, is kind of a big part of our guiding light, thinking about how policy can transform societies. And I think likewise that is true here, because of course Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is one of the world's most famous and most important reformers and thinkers on issues very similar to what Dr. King and Andrew Young thought about. One kind of advantage that we have is that Andrew Young, though almost 100 years old, is still alive, and he comes by our college in his electric wheelchair and kind of tools around, and we get to talk to him. So I know Dr. Ambedkar is only here in spirit, but I'm sure that his spirit remains here at the school, and you'll encounter it. So essentially, the work that we do in the International Center for Public Policy has a lot to do with international work on public finance. So we do these projects with World Bank, ADB, UN Development Program, and so forth. We also do these trainings. We did one last week in Patna, Bihar, in cooperation with an institution there, Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna. We had 6 full days of training, mostly in kind of public finance and public policy, mostly with civil servants in the Bihar's Department of Planning and Development. We had an MLA in there, which was cool. He had a 2-person armed guard the entire time. I've never had an armed guard while teaching before, so that was a good experience. And so we had a really great training session there, and hopefully this is something that we can arrange with you, probably with a different theme, a more legally oriented theme. And so these are things that we can talk about. And we also do research. We have a research paper series. We have visiting scholars like Dr. Singh, Dr. Utsav Kumar Singh. We have postdocs and so forth in our cluster. So I'll say just a little bit on my background in India. So my first visit to India was in 2003. And I came researching my dissertation on industrial policy. I lived in Defense Colony during that time. And one of the things that really impressed me was the openness of the political system. I was able, even though I was a young, like, PhD student, a lot of people took the time to meet with me. I met Montek Singh Ahluwalia. I met Arvind Subramanian, Jairam Ramesh, who gave me his chai recipe, which I'm still using. And so it was amazing to be able to see senior people who were willing to take the time to talk to a 28-year-old PhD student. And I found this to be the case on my many trips since, that people are very open. People are, including, people who are very busy or very ready to talk. And this is something that I've always valued. And so glad that we can kind of build. I'm in a position now to build partnerships and institutions, which I wasn't back in my 20s. One of my most interesting trips was in 2016 when I led a group of 12 bachelor students from Georgia State to India. And we were in Kolkata working with Presidency University there. You may know it. And we woke up one day to find that our money was worthless. So we happened to be there during demonetization. And we had, the students, I will say, had a very interesting experience with that, because Presidency actually had to pay for all of our expenses for about 2 weeks. But we also met with the mayor of Kolkata, who was at that time from the Trinamool Congress. And the next day after he asked us about our experiences, the next day we were in the paper as part of the TMC's kind of campaign against demonetization, which they took a negative position on. And the headline was, in the local press, was a group of students from American University unable to pay for their expenses due to demonetization. And it had a picture of all of us on the front. So that so that was their education in national politics in India. So it was a good experience for them. So for the remainder of the talk, I just want to kind of briefly talk about the conference theme, and to kind of kickstart some discussions, give some brief thoughts about federalism and local governance in India. Something that I think is an extremely important topic, and one that I've been working on for many years, and have done randomized controlled trials, mostly in Bihar, looking at panchayats and other local governments, and it's something that kind of I feel invested in. So I'll give a couple of reflections on the subject, and then I hope that we can discuss a little bit more during the conference. So my sense is that the complexity of India requires strong federalism. It's hard to imagine a country of the complexity of India and the scale of India working with more centralized government. And I think the Constituent Assembly was very wise to set the country up in this way. And then again, the reforms in the 1950s to organize it around the linguistic states. And so what does India's federalism look like? I think that right now the literature doesn't really always agree about Indian federalism and how to classify it. You may know there are about 25 federal countries in the world out of about 200 total countries. So about 1 in 8 countries is federal, including, of course, India, the US, Canada, Switzerland, Argentina, Brazil, South Africa, Nigeria, Germany. All of these countries are, and possibly Russia, though without state elections, I'm not sure if it qualifies, but it was federal back in the 90s anyway. And so all of these countries have different ways of approaching federalism. And India's system is particularly unique, and it's one that has, I think, evolved quite a lot over time. The legal process is part of why. So you might say, kind of looking back to the early independence days, during the Nehru years, there was, even though the states were quite powerful and had quite a lot of authority given to them in the Constitution with the state list and the concurrent list, during the Nehru years, the planning system and the power of the Planning Commission to distribute finance tended to centralize the authority of expenditures in New Delhi, and also the kind of the near universal dominance of the Congress Party also allowed party mechanisms to exert influence over state leaders kind of in an informal way. And so this was perhaps the early days of India's independence was perhaps a period of fairly strong central authority. Still a decentralized country, but maybe a period of central authority that was probably also expanded during the Indira Gandhi years after the split in the Congress Party, the loss of the Congress organization, and the focus on more kind of populist policies. And also the frequent use of president's rule, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. I would say the blossoming of kind of a more empowered states form of federalism probably took place in the late 80s and early 1990s because we had several dynamics there which tended to strengthen the power of the states relative to the center. One was the decline of the Congress Party and the rise of coalition politics, in particular coalitions that depend on regional parties. Given that both of the big coalitions, the UPA at the time and the NDA, and now the India coalition, relied on powerful regional parties, it wasn't possible for the central government to dictate terms in the same way that it had been before. The elimination or reduction, at least, of the license and permit Raj, beginning with the 1991 reforms, also very much reduced the ability or the tools available to the central government to enforce its will on the states and on the private sector. So the central government willingly gave up a number of tools that had been used for centralization, and this also allowed the states to reassert themselves through the political system. Thinking about federalism today in India, I would say federalism remains quite central to India's political culture and critical for its success. So, I'm just coming from Jharkhand, where I spent 4 days in Ranchi in a smaller town, Madhupur, and before that was in Putna. And for sure, as all of you know very well, state politics is very much alive and well. The states are have quite a lot of authority and make their own decisions. And in fact, I think there are some recent indicators showing that federalism is alive and well in India. One of them is the fact that expenditure centralization indicates that states now, for the first time, I believe, control a slight majority of total government expenditures in India. I think it's just slightly over 50% of total expenditures by general government. All government entities in India are now done by states. The 2024 elections brought a return to coalition politics, and coalition politics, whether the ruling party is the BJP or the Congress, or for such a short period of time the Janata Party, tends to mean empowered states, especially if regional parties are part of the coalition. Also, the Finance Commission, as you may know, the 16th Finance Commission has proposed allocating the highest percentage ever to the states of the central divisible pool at 41%. And the Planning Commission has been replaced by the Niti Aayog, which doesn't possess the same power over revenue that was used by the central government in the past. That said, I think there are some challenges to federalism to keep an eye on. One of them is the centrally sponsored schemes. So I don't want to criticize centrally sponsored schemes because I think one of them in particular, the NREGA program, is probably the most impressive development intervention by any country in the 21st century. And so it has been quite an incredible program. And so many of the centrally sponsored schemes, whether it's the NREGA or Ayushman Bharat or Swachh Bharat or whatever, have done a lot of good. On the other hand, one thing to remember and keep an eye on is that these sorts of schemes allow the center to create policy in areas that are in the state list. And also to make central money conditional on following central rules and usually also on contributing to financing the centrally sponsored scheme. So that does have an effect of reducing autonomy in the states. This is also something that happens in the U.S. quite a lot. To give an example, the federal government in the U.S. has even fewer formal powers, domestically speaking. Internationally is different, but domestically speaking than the central government in India. But the way that the federal government over time has found to influence the states is mostly through what they're not called centrally sponsored schemes in the US, but essentially it's the same thing. Basically, the federal government will say to states, we're going to give you X billion dollars for this project, but you have to implement it on our terms. So you can either say no and explain to your citizens why, billions of dollars of free quote unquote money was refused, or you can take the money, but then you have to follow our rules. And so this is also something that occurs in the U.S. And I think in many federal systems. So it's something to keep an eye on because ultimately federalism works best when subnational governments have control over their budgets and are able to identify their own spending priorities. The center has also increased its use of cesses and excise taxes that are not part of the divisible pool, so that 41% of the divisible pool that is distributed of central taxes that is distributed to the states, it's a high number, but it's also important to realize that the central government has strategically increased taxes that are not defined by law as part of the divisible pool in order to make the divisible pool a little smaller. And so that's also something that something to keep an eye on. The GST, my sense, I know it's been a controversial reform here in India. I think most kind of international observers think that it, despite some challenges, has been a very effective policy intervention. It's raised revenue. It's made it easier to transport goods across borders in India by getting rid of things like the octroi, which were impeding movement. And so it's really rationalized the tax system. On the other hand, as I'm sure you know, it's meant that because the Constitution of India gives consumption taxes to the states, the GST has meant that the states have had to give up some of their authority over consumption taxes to the center and also to other states because of the GST Council making decisions about the rate of the consumption taxes. And so to get that benefit, a certain amount of state authority had to be surrendered. And possibly it was worth it. I mean, federalism is about it's about competition between states, it's about state autonomy, but it's also about cooperation. But there's kind of always a balance to be struck there. And there are also a few party effects, which I kind of alluded to before, and this is an area close to my heart. I worked on a book looking at this issue, not in India, but more broadly. Basically, one way to think about state authority in a federal system is that you have the formal institutions like the central government, the state governments, the panchayats, the urban local bodies, and so forth, that have certain authority given to them by the Constitution and by law. And then you also have more informal institutions through the parties. And the political parties have their own forms of authority, usually around the nominating process, because the parties control, at least to an extent, who is nominated for public office. And so one thing that I tried to understand in a book about 10 years ago is how these two interact. And I think that this is an important thing that isn't necessarily paid a lot of attention to. One kind of finding would be that when you have a single party that is in government outside a coalition and it has a strong structure, that can allow authority relationships to exist between the different tiers of government that are less visible, right? Because they are through the party structure. But it can also, that might be thought of as a negative. but it can also have the positive effect of improving cooperation across the tiers, because now chief ministers, members of panchayats who are part of the same political party can coordinate with the central government through the party mechanism. So again, as in nearly everything with public policy and with public finance, and with federalism, there are trade-offs there between the need to safeguard autonomy at the state and local level and the need to promote cooperation across the tiers. But decentralization is not just about federalism. Indian states have the largest average population of any federal democracy in the world. I don't think that'll surprise you to hear that. A country or a state like UP has a greater population than Russia. A state like Bihar has a bigger population than Germany. And so decentralization to the state level may not be considered adequate to bring government to the people. Because if your state government is governing as many more people than the national government of Russia, then probably you might not think of that as local government. So in a country of the scale of India, it's especially important to decentralize more locally. And this, of course, is what was institutionalized. I mean, it was pre-existing in some places, but was institutionalized in 1992 with the creation of the three-tiered panchayat system in the rural areas and the three types of urban local bodies in the urban areas. And this, I think, is a particularly important development in the history of India governance, especially the kind of the Gandhian concept of the Gram Sabha, where everyone can get together and actually talk about what their issues are, and then pass this up through the planning process, through the Gram Panchayat, up to the Zilla Parishad at district level. And so this, I think, is a critically important reform. One thing that might be worth doing in the future, in my humble opinion, worth thinking about, is further empowering these institutions, especially in the fiscal arena. Right now, panchayats on average only raise about 1% of their revenue through own source revenue collection. That means that 99% of their revenue is transferred either from the central government through the finance commission, or through the state governments through their finance commissions, or through the central or state ministries for particular projects. What that means in practice is that this kind of revenue centralization can limit the autonomy of the panchayats. There's something in public finance called the benefit principle, and this is the idea that there should be a link between the taxes that citizens pay and the benefits that they receive. And so the ideal at local government is that people pay their taxes to the local government, and then they receive benefits from the local government, and they can then hold the local government accountable because they finance those benefits. And so right now, because panchayats aren't really raising their local revenue very much, and the revenue that's financing them is coming from higher tiers, it's harder for that benefit principle to operate. And so empowering the panchayats, I think, not just with new revenue sources, but also with the capacity to raise revenue, which is quite a complex capacity, especially if you're looking at property taxes, where you have to value property in the panchayats and figure out exactly how much everyone owes and all of that, which is a complex administrative process. Empowering panchayats to collect their own revenue could be quite helpful, and possibly also to have more control over the civil servants that serve them, over who the panchayat secretary is. So the BDOs, they could potentially have a say in that, and even potentially the district magistrate. There could be some more kind of cooperative relationship between panchayats and the state government in identifying the key administrators at panchayat level. So another key way to empower local bodies is to consider transferring additional expenditure functions. This might especially apply to the urban local bodies. As you know, outside Tier 1 cities, very few urban local bodies actually control education and health, which is kind of the key decentralized functions. And so it could be worth thinking about how medium and smaller cities could play a role in running primary education and health centers instead of leaving it to the state. Um, Finally, just want to mention, since the conference is looking at asymmetric themes, I want to mention the concept of asymmetric localism, which is something I'm working on with Utsav Kumar Singh, and we're looking especially at the kind of decentralized bodies in the northeastern states, the autonomous local councils, which essentially operate like panchayats but have more autonomy. And I think this idea of asymmetry is something that India has been practicing since its independence. There's the distinction between union territories and states, right? States have more autonomy than union territories. There's a distinction between municipal corporations and kind of nagar panchayats, which have different levels of autonomy. There are kind of special status categories for places like Jammu and Kashmir or places like Nagaland and Mizoram. And so India's been doing this for a long time. The question is kind of, how can we theorize this and how can we perhaps apply it more systematically to situations either where local peoples are particularly distinct or culturally distinct, or cases perhaps where local government is more or less possible. It may be in some high capacity areas, local governments can do more than in low capacity areas. So there could be kind of a systematic way of devolving additional powers to places that have shown themselves able to, administratively capable to implement those powers. So that's kind of the benefits of thinking about asymmetry. You don't have to have, even within a single country, you don't have to have a one size fits all approach to decentralization. So I will stop there, and I want to thank you all so much again for the honor of being here. Really, the honor is all mine. Thanks to the dais, thanks to the professors, thank you to the students, and I look forward to interacting over the next 2 days.
Thank you so much, Professor Hankla, for your highly valuable and intellectually stimulating keynote address, sir. Now, we shall be proceeding to the felicitation of our keynote speaker, and I once again request our Honorable Chancellor, sir. Thank you all concerned for making this part of the ceremony dignified and memorable. Now let us proceed to concluding the session with a vote of thanks. And I would like to thank Honorable Vice-Chancellor, sir, our Registrar, sir, Professor Charles Hankla, sir, Mr. Sanjay Singh, sir, Professor Balwinder Kaur, ma'am, distinguished guests, respected faculty members, dear colleagues, scholars, and students. Like, it is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizers of this inaugural committee. At the outset, I express our sincere gratitude to Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Sir Professor Dr. Devinder Singh, for gracing the occasion with his presence and for sharing such inspiring thoughts with us. I also extend our heartfelt thanks to Professor Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, sir, our worthy registrar, for his unwavering support in organizing this conference. Our special appreciation goes to Professor Dr. Balwinder Kaur, ma'am, for the elegant opening remarks and the symbolic lighting of the lamp along with all the dignitaries, which beautifully inaugurated this academic event. We are deeply thankful to Dr. Thomas Joseph Vicino, Dean, Andrew Policy School of Policy Studies, and his distinguished special address, which have greatly enriched the academic spirit of this conference. And lastly, last but not least, we are equally grateful to Professor Dr. Charles Hankla for delivering the keynote address and for sharing his expert insights with the participants. I also would like to express sincere thanks to all faculty members, organizers, technical staff, and student volunteers whose collective efforts have made this inaugural ceremony successful and seamless. Last but not least, I thank all the delegates, scholars, and participants for their gracious presence and active engagement who have joined us both physically as well as virtually. Your presence has added great value to this conference, and we look forward to meaningful deliberations in the sessions ahead. With this, I conclude the vote of thanks, and thank you once again, and have a wonderful day. Now, please let us assemble for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे